silent and motionless in a flat, white, Eucharistic host captured in the tabernacles of the world. Why? Why does God choose the Eucharistic life?
I'm saddened to think of all the people who have no idea what is taking place. They pass by churches every single day. In their heart, they're searching for meaning. And little do they know, little do they realize that the meaning they look for is found in the one who is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus Christ is waiting for them there.
You must eat my body and drink my blood in order to have that salvation. And people knew he meant it literally because he didn't say, oh, hey, everyone, I'm just joking, especially after they said, whoa, this is a hard saying. How can we listen to this?
He was speaking to me from that tabernacle, and he was challenging me. Am I willing to turn my back on him who's done so much for us, who fed the 5,000, who walked on water?
The St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, in partnership with Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network, present a podcast for divorced and separated Catholics.
Hello, and welcome to a podcast from the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. This is Ann DeSantis, Executive Director, joined again by Mickey Kelly, our Board President. Mickey, thanks so much for joining us on this podcast series.
Hi, Ann. Thank you so much for having me here. So, hey, we're still going strong. I mean, I'm not sure we're going to tie or break a record set by Broadway, so we'll see about that.
Yes, exactly. Now, we have a great topic. This is 10 tips for healing for adult children of divorce. And I'm very proud to say this is our very first podcast series that we've ever done for adult children of divorce. So this is wonderful. Now, the topic of today for episode 4 is fostering relationships with those who understand. And that is for the realm of those adult children of divorce, which I repeated again, that these are people that are above the age of 18 for this podcast. Of course, there are many children of divorce that are below 18, and we have resources and recommendations for them, which I will mention later on in this podcast. But we're going to focus on the adult children and how all of us who are children of divorce, how we're affected, not just when we're younger, but throughout life. And so let's just start out with that idea of fostering relationships, Mickey. What ideas might you have for the people who are listening to find friends who can understand their situation?
Well, I mean, and I think it kind of, that the theme of this week's episode, I think it really says it really speaks for itself, because the reason I say that is like we have to confide in people that we trust. And also, time after time we've held in-person group settings, and I know we're looking to have a few more of those down the road, but there will be people who are going to share their stories, and then when it's over, walk up to each other and be like, hey, I can relate to you at this manner, and I would like to help you and what have you. So that, they form that connection right there. And honestly, I think I see like there's a heck of a lot of benefits that come to it. One of those is that you form a new friendship with that person. You begin to form that accountability, help that person, like how they're going to overcome this hurdle, or how they're going to, strive to be better, like those kind of things. That, like, I know for a fact that as a member, like I've been a member for Knights of Columbus for 14 years. And if there's something I've learned from guys that have been in the order maybe twice as long as I have, maybe triple times, is that one of the things that they've done, and one of the principles, is fraternity. And some of the things they've done, some of the things I've seen, is that they go from things like, they go into events together, like conventions, go into vacations together, each other's birthdays, graduations, weddings, like wherever the other momentous, like monumental, like momentous occasions that happen. Like, you form that bond with that person you trust. And it really helps you, like, to form these lifelong friends, because, these circumstances, when you find the right people that can relate to you, I can promise you that it will pay dividends.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? You don't really need to find a huge group of people to communicate with if you're an adult child of divorce. The foundation used to do online support meetings. And by that, I mean, we did these, something like Zoom. It was GoToMeeting, but something like Zoom, where we got together with other people to share experiences for those people who are affected by divorce. But it was a public group, okay, meaning that you would connect with us and then you would get on this call. And we did that for quite a while, and it was good. But the one thing that we learned as a foundation was that some people do not feel comfortable sharing with brand new people that they've never met some intimate details of their feelings and experiences. And so that is why we decided to start this podcast, because this podcast is a way for you to learn about resources and to learn about our personal resources that we have for you to make connections and find people who understand. So I always say this on every podcast, but I can't help but say it again, is that one of our greatest offerings is our pastoral consultations with a Mercedarian friar. And that really is what replaced the idea of these larger group kind of online discussions, where people were a little more hesitant to share personal information with those that they don't know. And so we wanted to give you who are listening an opportunity to share your story with one trusted person, and that would be with our Mercedarian friars, the religious order that founded us. And so if you go to our website at nonnatus.org, under the drop-down Our Services, you will see priestly consultation. All you need to do is fill out the form, and then we will make that one-on-one appointment for you so that you can talk to a priest about what you're going through and just kind of, what's on your heart. But I wanted to mention also a couple other online resources from friends of ours, friends of the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation. One of them is called, an organization is Life Giving Wounds. And some of you might have heard of them before. Their website is Life, L-I-F-E, givingwounds.org. And they are an organization that is specifically for online support for adult children of divorce. And on their website, they say that there's a glaring need in the culture and the church. Adult children of divorce and separation often feel alone and lost and are searching for lasting healing and love. Leaders are looking for Catholic ministries to help them, and they are ready to help. So, it, as we've heard before, it does take somewhat of a village, even in the Catholic Church, for us to all work together to help bring healing. So this is another wonderful organization that you can connect with to be able to make those friendships. So do go over to lifegivingwounds.org, and we make a shout out to them, to our friends, and learn more about what they're doing. Now, there's one other person, and I know, Mickey, you're familiar with him, but he's also doing amazing work with adult children of divorce. His name is Joey Pontarelli, and his website is Restored Ministry, and that is singular, not plural, restoredministry.com. And their mission is that they give practical advice and tools to help teens and young adults cope, heal, and grow from the trauma of their parents' divorce or separation. so they can feel whole again and thrive in every area of life. I know they have a podcast, they have a blog, and they have ways that you can connect with them. So go to restoredministry.com. Now, these organizations will offer retreats and they will offer podcasting. And I'm pretty sure they offer some kind of group support. So that's where you would want to go. And you could come to us to get that one-on-one consultation and help. Because not only do we offer the pastoral consultations, but I have wonderful news for all of you. We're also offering spiritual direction. And that can be an ongoing thing, meaning it's not just a once and done. You can have a once a month appointment with one of our Mercedarian friars, either in person or on a video call or on a phone call. And all you need to do is go to, again, nonnatus.org, go to priestly consultation, and then there's a drop down for spiritual direction. And I have really great news for everybody too, is that we do not charge for anything that we do. We are a nonprofit 501c3 organization. We are in the Catholic directory as well, the official Catholic directory. And, you know, we're here for you. That's why we're doing this podcast, to give you great resources to try to find healing as an adult child of divorce. Now, some of you are listening, you know Mickey and I, both of our stories. We are both adult children of divorce. And the topic of number 4 on our list of 10 tips for healing is to foster relationships with those who understand. Now, notice that I didn't say that it has to be with other adult children of divorce. It doesn't. What we're suggesting is that it's with people who understand. And that could be a good therapist, maybe a good Catholic or Christian therapist, or just a good therapist in general. It could even be with somebody who's a really good listener, a good friend of yours, a friend, a relative. I'm going to hand it over to you, Mickey, just to share, was there somebody in your life, whether it be when you were younger or even when you got older, or was it an organization that helped to hear your story and helped you to foster relationships? And did you find somebody who was able to understand during that time?
Well, and to be honest with you, I remember when I was navigating high school and I was starting to come to the understanding of what was going on with my parents and what have you. There was a I actually befriended and I had conversations with someone. He was in formation as a deacon, and he's from the Philadelphia area. And, you know, he helped me get through the times where, like, I feel like I was kind of low. Let me put it that way, especially like when you're like an adolescent, you're kind of like at a crossroads, like you want to go in this direction or that direction. And of course, there'll be times like you're going to have to rise up from the adversity that's before you. And I felt like he really gave me, because he went through like some family crisis when he had a problem with his dad growing up, and he kind of kept it a secret for a while. And then he felt that he had to disclose it to, his wife, and, she supported him 100%. He's a deacon now in the Archdiocese of Philadelphia. I'll keep, for the sake of charity, I'll keep him anonymous. But if he's listening to this, I mean, shout out to you, because he really helped me get through quite a bit of some things. I felt like I had like I guess you could probably say like a spiritual hurdle. And it's kind of powerful. Like, this guy was like in formation for the diaconate. And as I was trying to get through undergraduate at junior college, he was ordained, and I got to witness, that occasion, along with his family. And I went to high school with his oldest daughter, and we were in the same shop together. Like, I went to the Votech school, and we were in the same trade together, and like we were like the best of friends. That he was one person that actually helped me get through some of the times, like some of the things right there. The other one was actually a director of religious education that came about when I was entering the junior high phase of grade school. And he would, take over morning announcements, lead prayer. And he also would, there were times like I would have like one-on-one time with him, and he would give me some, you know, like we'll talk about faith and we'll talk about this or that. And, he was really genuine. He was down to earth. Those are like the two that I felt like really helped me get through some of the hurdles I was going through. And of course, I was starting to come to the understanding of what was going on, with my parent, what my parents did. And of course, when I was going through some of the hardest things as a teenager, like, and we're seeing a lot of it with Generation Z, like with the many things that are happening now. Like there was a very alarming statistic that came out, I think in the past 2 years, that nearly half of Generation Z has some kind of mental disorder, and most of it had to do with the woke ideology that's in school, separation, like marital issues, even the things that brought about from the COVID lockdowns that happened, not too long ago. But I feel like the reason I bring these two men up is that we need some good spiritual role models that will help us get through the times that, like, we're going to experience the desert, the spiritual desert. And we have two choices. We can either A, stick our heads in the sand, literally, like, pun intended, of course, or we keep like roaming around that desert, just like, Moses leading his promised people, until finally, like, God would bring someone, on that path that will help us, get through it.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I think it's interesting that God provided for you, and it was it's not always who we think, is it? Sometimes we think that somebody we know right away that comes to our mind when you go through a rough time in your life, whatever it is. But God provides sometimes people that we might know, but maybe we don't quite know as well, or we're not sure that they will be the one. So I just think it's interesting because God did provide for you. And on a personal note, I would say that God has definitely provided for me too. And I've shared with us on other podcasts before. I mean, my parents divorced when I was pretty young. I was only 7 years old, and it was way back in the early 1970s. The reason I'm laughing is just that it was just such a long time ago that they didn't have the support system thing, a lot of the online support and things that they offer today. But I would say that there were key times in my life, whether it was before the age of 18, I had, certain teachers when I was growing up that I became friendly with. I remember my fourth grade teacher who knew what was going on with me and my family, and she befriended me and actually, my mom too, and just was a wonderful person who even attended my wedding when I was, 24 years old when I finally got married. So, I mean, it's interesting how God provides, key people at specific times in our lives. And I'm sure that for you who are listening, you understand that there's times in your life when God provided someone, because the topic of this podcast again is fostering friendships with those who understand. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a large group of people. We figure that out even with the foundation. And when we started to do larger group sharings online, that we kind of experimented with it and found it that most people really want someone that's going to listen one-on-one. And so that's why we wanted to provide the service that we're providing right now. But I do recommend those other two websites I said at the beginning, the Restored Ministry and also the Life Giving Wounds, as far as getting that any additional support that you need. I think they're wonderful organizations because there is no competition at all in Catholic ministry. We're all there to work together to support you, to be able to help you to get and find the healing that you need. But I think with the fostering friendships, I found an article online that I thought was very interesting that I'm just going to kind of read through some of it. And maybe, Mickey, you can have some opinion if you want to share. But the article is called 5 Ways to Grow in Authentic Friendship. And although this article is not specifically for adult children of divorce, I do think it offers some good suggestions for all of us, not only for us to help to find the help that we need, but also for us to be good friends to other people. And the article is it's called aggiecatholic.org, AGGIE Catholic.org, 5 Ways to Grow in Authentic Friendship. And one of the first ways is to be authentic and vulnerable. And I think that in my personal opinion, I think that particular step is so important for fostering real and true friendships when you don't have a mask on from the very beginning. And the article says that friendship should be a place where you can be yourself, where you can share your heart, your worries, your joys, your heartaches, your prayers, and much more. It should be a safe place where you journey alongside another person, striving for heaven. A virtuous friendship requires both people to be fully themselves. I just think that is a very, very important aspect of authentic friendship. The next one is to be present to each other. And the article says that we live in a world where it's easy to hide behind a phone, screen, computer, or all these other commitments. For a real lasting deep friendship, one must be willing to put the phone down, to set aside the other obligations. And it says a little more than that. But I know, Mickey, you're probably listening and nodding as I say that, but it is so very, very true, being present to each other. The third one on this list is to initiate and commit. And it says, don't be afraid to initiate hangouts with your friends. Our schedules are busy and it takes time and effort to have quality time with friends. Be willing to step out and ask to hang out. And I think that's a good one for adult children of divorce too. Sometimes when you're an adult child of divorce, you sort of feel like you can feel, I'm not saying you do feel, but you can feel at times like the odd man out. Maybe some of your other friends come from 2-parent families where you feel like you might be the only one who's from a broken family, or maybe has step parents in the picture, or even step siblings or half siblings. But, when we put ourselves out there, as I said, to initiate and to commit, it helps us to make friends with like-minded people, and also people who really care and want to be good listeners to us, and we can be good listeners to them. The next one on the list here is to go deep and ask bold questions. And some of the questions they have here is, how's your prayer going? What is Jesus telling you in your prayer? How's school? What's the hardest thing going on? It's easy to ask simple questions to just hit the surface. But as a friend, really invest deeply in them, invest in their heart, their journey, and to know them, know the good and the bad. And I think that's important, because when you are the adult child of divorce, sometimes we need to go a little bit deeper than just, how was your day, or how was the weather out there today? Something that kind of goes a little bit deeper, to ask how we can also support one another. And so that's I really think a great step. Now, the last one on this list, because it was just 5 steps, is to pray for and with each other. And it says to place your friendship deeply in the Father, pray for one another, ask for their intentions, take them to prayer with you. And don't forget to follow up with your friend and their intentions. What do you think? Have any tips to share with us on building our authentic friendship? And they just say here on this website that they'd love to hear. So please do go to that article if you want to connect with them at 5 Ways to Grow Authentic Friendship at aggiecatholic.org. But I would just say that article offered some very good tips, and especially for our topic, which of course is step number 4, fostering friendships with those who understand. Mickey, I wondered if, the second part of that thing is with those who understand. How has that been for you in your life? Because I know you shared with us when you were younger and how God provided some key people. How about as you got older, was there something or someone that helped you to get to that level of being able to feel understood by either friends or even just 1 or 2 people?
If I could pick one thing, Ann, I honestly think that it took me a while to like maybe find an organization to, I mean, I was involved with, help, I've been around, Knights of Columbus, um, the Culture Project, Generation Life. And granted, I think the Culture Project too, I think they're going to have their work cut out, especially with the statistic I brought up regarding, the uptick in mental disorders in like among, young people that are fit under the Generation Z group, demographics. But if then of course, I think it took me a while, and then years back I came across, Raymond Nonnatus, and I at some point I met you when I found out about this group, and I just thought to myself, oh, okay, and then I just like whatever, and then of course I kind of think of it as like a boomerang. You're like, whatever, and then it just came right back at you, just like that. Because I think what it led to was, you were at a Man Up conference, and then down, I think somewhere between the Man Up conference in Philly to the annual dinner that happens every year, we go to that. We've been going to that for the past couple of years, and we actually, I felt like it was a boomerang effect. I just like, oh, okay. And then it just came back, months, down the road, months later. And then you initiate like, hey, can I get in touch with me? Like, yeah, of course. And then that's where, I guess that's where like a lot of the dominoes and everything kind of came into play. And that's where the both of us, we put everything on the line, be like, hey, I think you should be a part of this. And here I am now. And let's face it, and like we're gonna have our work cut out as well. Let me look at the many people we reached out to, through like the events we attended, let alone the fact too that we've done this, we've done that, and we planted the seeds together, and I don't have an ounce of regret whatsoever.
Well, I thank you so much for all that you just said, and it's really been an honor and it is an honor. I don't want to make it sound like it's past tense. It's still happening, isn't it? You and I are still working together with all these beautiful podcasts that we're doing every single month. We do a podcast for divorce and separated Catholics, and now this one for adult children. We do a monthly podcast for families in crisis. As Mickey said, we do events. We've done men's conferences, women's conferences. We've done pro-life events. So it's just a beautiful thing to be able to meet people, help people, and let people know that, the Catholic Church cares. If I could say anything on this podcast, that's what I want to say. That I don't think anybody can accuse the Catholic Church of not trying to make outreach. People like us and people like Restored Ministries and people like Life Giving Wounds and all of these other wonderful organizations that Mickey has mentioned on past podcasts like Generation Life or other ones, Pro-Life Union of Greater Philadelphia, they are all doing work to help the Catholic Church. Now, I should say the Pro-Life Union isn't just a Catholic nonprofit. They actually help everybody because they are a nonprofit that's helping to protect human life from conception until natural death. And that's every single person. That's the entire human family. And we, as the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, we also help the whole human family. We are a Catholic nonprofit, but we make that outreach to whoever contacts us. We're here for you. We're here to listen, but we are guided by the teachings of the Catholic faith. So we do want to make that kind of clear and that people understand that that's what we're guided by those teachings. And so I do believe we've had a wonderful podcast for this particular episode where we've really focused a lot on the ways that we can foster friendships with those who understand. St. Francis of Assisi said that it's not so much in us being understood, but that we can try to understand other people, right? So if you're an adult child of divorce and you feel like, hey, nobody understands me, sometimes the best way to be filled with the Spirit of God is to try to understand somebody else and try to do your best there. And believe it or not, that's a way that you can be healed too. Now, we're going to get into that on another episode. We're going to talk about how you can reach out to other people and how you can go full circle. Like Mickey said, we came full circle. I met Mickey a long while ago, and here he is now with us as our board president, fully healed from the past, I believe. I mean, we're all a work in progress, but he is really has moved forward so much from everything that has happened to him with his younger life and even other things. Praise God, praise God. So I just think we've had a great topic today, and I'm looking forward to next episode. Now, I am going to give away the spoiler for next episode. For episode 5 of 10 Tips for Healing for Adult Children of Divorce, episode 5 is to live out the sacramental life in the greatest of ways. So please do stay tuned next month and listen to that episode. Now, Mickey, do you have any final words before we end?
Well, and I think we covered quite a bit with this episode, and I think that article you read about the steps, they're easy, but I think in order for us to make it easy is we have to take that leap in order to make some of these things happen. And I always think of these. But I also think metaphorically speaking, when 18-year-olds, when they go to join the military, they're out of high school, which I don't blame at all. I mean, college is kind of overrated, One of the things that I remember hearing is that there's like common stories about they're assigned a battle buddy. So they're like, okay, you're going to be with recruit A, you're going to be recruit B, whatever the case is. The goal is for the next 8 to 10 weeks, depending on what branch of the service this is, by the way. Their goal for the next 8, 10, maybe 12 weeks is this recruit's going to have that recruit's back and vice versa. And their job is to ensure that they complete the challenge and the grouping boot camp that they will endure so they can become a member of the best military of the world. There will be times where they could break. There will be times where they feel like they're going to give up or something. But that job of that battle buddy is to push them. And that battle buddy has to be ready to be pushed. And I think that's something that we all need. We need those battle buddies that are willing to help us, to pray more, to make sure that we're telling our stories, to get that extra holy hour in, to achieve whatever our goals are. That's what, I mean, I think that what the Catholic Church needs more in any friendship whatsoever, not just for the adolescents, young adults, but I think also for the older adults too. Sorry, Anne. But anyway, not to poke fun at the boomers or anything, but the point is we need more accountability. Look at some of the saints of the Catholic Church. Many of the saints had a battle buddy. Many of them had accountability. And some of them were canonized together. And there are some that probably were like canonized at a later time. And some of those saints credit this saint for, helping them in their spiritual journey. You can too. And let's face it, sainthood is for everyone. And I think one of the key ingredients to becoming a saint is to be held accountable and to hold others accountable.
Great way to end the podcast. Thank you for your words of wisdom. And it's been wonderful, this episode. So please do, everyone, join us again next month for the 10 tips for healing for adult children of divorce. Remember to connect with us at our website at nonnatus.org. We are in giving season. I do want to mention that. And if you'd like to give us a donation, there's links on our website there. Thank you for that as well. But most of all, keep us in prayer. We'll see you next time through the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation for freedom, family, and faith.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. For more information about the St. Raymond Nonnatus Foundation, visit nonnatus.org or email director.srnf@gmail.com.
Why does God remain silent and motionless in a flat, white, Eucharistic host captured in the tabernacles of the world? Why? Why does God choose the Eucharistic life?
And I'm saddened to think of all the people who have no idea what is taking place. They pass by churches every single day. In their heart, they're searching for meaning. And little do they know, little do they realize that the meaning they look for is found in the one who is the way, the truth, and the life. Jesus Christ is waiting for them there.
You must eat my body and drink my blood in order to have that salvation. And people knew he meant it literally because he didn't say, oh, hey everyone, I'm just joking, especially after they said, whoa, this is a hard saying. How can we listen to this?
He was speaking to me from that tabernacle, and he was challenging me. Am I willing to turn my back on him who's done so much for us, who fed the 5,000, who walked on water,